Just when you think you're gonna go home on a G6, I'm flying home coach. Coming up on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after show.
Proof beyond.
This is about his wife and his child.
He didn't even listen to the podcast.
Lisa's never lied about anybody at this table.
What's wrong with John?
I've been privy to conversations between the two of you and really taken back by some of the abuse.
She was yelling at me to the point to where I was in tears.
Your wife did something bad to me and I got upset, so I'm the bad person?
Is your experience with me that I am two-faced?
Are Lisa and I really friends? Can I really count on her? And I think I'm gaining more and more evidence that the answer to those questions are no.
The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after show starts now. Just when you think you're gonna go home on a G6, I'm flying home coach.
I'm 19A. Why? Where are you sitting?
I don't know. I've heard more about her sitting in coach than the time she spent in coach.
We were like sitting like sardines, like super close to each other. Like I felt like I couldn't move my arms or my hands. Like, oh my gosh, this lady is like right here. There's lots of turbulence. You can feel every bump. It's no free drinks. It's like looking out the window and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in the back of the plane. At least we'll live if the plane crashes.
That's true.
Because like the first class is the first to die.
I hear violins playing right now. You?
For a long time, I've thought Lisa and I were equally as bougie, equally as spoiled. I thought it was funny between the two of us. There's only so many things I can control. How many seats in first class there are and how many have already been bought before I go to purchase tickets. I mean, there's so many things I could say. I took Lisa on a plane. I had a gift for her. I had a gift for her husband. We had a house. I took him to Indy. I had a chef.
I've had way better times in Palm Springs and it was at the Madison Club or at the Porsche Club. So like, this is just like not necessary.
You were slumming it.
I was slumming it.
You were slumming it for the weekend.
I really did.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a snob, but if you fly down on a private plane, then you should go back on a private plane.
And that's where you're going to plan our next trip. So
you think I'm going to get a private plane for these women?
I told her ahead of time there was no seat. Try and see if you can get waitlisted. Meredith didn't come home. She went somewhere else. I mean, and if Lisa has 87 cybersecurity people, she should get herself a NetJets person. She could have called that motherfucker and got her own plane home.
I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't flown coach since college.
I don't even believe that.
Like, I never didn't see her in first class, and even when we were flying economy, she upgraded.
Okay, well, let me introduce Lisa to the world in which other people live. I'll tell you this. Lisa's been telling a lot of people behind the scenes, the whispers get back to me, that she and John have more money than Todd and I do, that she has put a down payment on a plane of her own. I don't want to drop my big dick on the table because it's not mine, it's my husband's, but Todd is fine, and Todd and I routinely fly coach.
Drop the dick on the table.
If we have to go somewhere last minute and there's not another seat. So if Lisa wanted to, there were plenty of options. There's a Porsche dealership. She could have gone and bought herself a car and driven herself home if she had $80,000 to buy a car. She could have got herself a plane for $30,000. She could have paid and stayed at the house an extra night.
She could have taken a different flight.
For Lisa and her unlimited budget to do whatever she wanted to. On my dime, I put her in coach. If that's the end of our friendship from her perspective, totally fine.
John's like, close your eyes, pretend you're in first class.
You know, I've often wondered what the secret is to John and Lisa's marriage. And now I know that it's John leading Lisa through creative visualization. Has her close her eyes and pictures like her hand having a 44-ounce Diet Coke.
I'm going to fan the flame a little bit.
Yeah, fan it, because I could have a second rant.
She even bitched about it not being attached to her Sky Miles number, so she wanted to get credit for the Sky Miles.
God, if she's trying to collect Sky Miles, then we're not worried about sitting in coach. My God, that's how she's upgrading herself since college. She's stealing miles from people. If Lisa's so opposed to coach, then why does she put her glam team in coach? My glam team flies first class. Lisa's people could be hanging off the wings for all I know. I love that Lisa has somebody who will defend her no matter what. And I would like sometimes for Todd to ride a little harder for me. He does when he believes in it, which is nice, but sometimes I want the backup even when I'm wrong and I know I'm wrong. But that's a real shaky branch for John to go out on. A real choice for him to go out on that limb that Lisa has never lied before.
Lisa's never lied about anybody at this table.
Oh, goodness, they're about to break up. Because they don't even know each other. He said that?
That's a bold-faced lie from John right there, because he knows that Lisa has lied about people at the table, to us, about us.
What's wrong with John?
Maybe he really believes that. I don't.
So he's saying that Lisa was factual when she said Meredith slept with half New York?
She's a whore. She's half of New York.
She said hurtful and did hurtful things to all of us, all the friend group. And to think that her husband believes it.
Obviously, Lisa's had her moments just like everybody else. Nobody's perfect here. We have moments of anger where we say things that we don't mean, but also having a rampage and a moment of anger
is very different than sitting down and being calculated to try to spread lies about somebody. And I think that's probably more of what John was trying to say.
I know definitively that Lisa has lied about me behind my back. She's called me a liar, she's called me fake, and not just to one person, to multiple people. And Whitney has screenshots of it on her phone. And during that time, I had to act like I didn't know, but yet she was still reaching out to me, acting like my friend.
I have never seen Lisa sit down and do anything that was that calculated. I've seen her have heated moments of rage, yes.
To me, they're all doing the same thing that they're accusing me of.
I'm not lying about you, Lisa.
Whitney, where's the f***ing proof? Who's gonna bring it in? Are one of these horses gonna come running in with the proof?
Like, Whitney talks to the press. Whitney talks to the person she's blaming me for talking to when I never have.
She's projecting.
I'm glad John stepped in where he felt appropriate, but he didn't direct anything negative to any of the women.
That's the question with a question mark at the end. Did she do it?
Did you do it?
No.
There, done. Whitney, did you lie about Lisa?
Never.
Done.
Like, he didn't go after Whitney. He didn't go after Angie.
He's a gentleman.
He was just like, shut it down, shut it down.
I wasn't really surprised to see you have a visceral reaction to John saying she doesn't lie or she doesn't put things out there. But when Sean jumped in...
Did she tell somebody that you're a bitch, though?
I kind of was like, okay, well, if Sean's gonna say it, there's some truth here because Sean's not getting into this just for the fun of the back and forth. Also, if I'm John and I have recently had a conversation with Todd about my wife being too aggressive to Todd's wife, and Justin and I have had physicality because my wife was too aggressive to Justin's wife, and Sean is now yelling at the table because my wife has been too aggressive to his wife. Not everybody's wrong, John. If every husband at the table has told you your wife is in the mud with my wife, maybe it's time to realize Lisa's in the mud. I mean, like...
I don't understand. Like, we're playing the podcast for you. You can hear your own words, but you're like, I didn't say that.
If I said anything demeaning towards Brooks, I'll certainly apologize, but I haven't done that. And I'll stand on that, and I'll double down on it.
It's basically the most hardcore gaslighting I've ever experienced in my entire life.
I don't recall the details.
I was gonna say, I don't know what was said.
Of it, but it was not salacious. It was not in any way, shape, or form Sean talking about someone else's child. Sean was defending the fact that there was this homophobic narrative.
The thing is, I gave Angie a free pass on it. I said, I'm not holding you responsible. You know, she chose to jump in the fire with him.
Sean's gonna be real and take accountability for what he feels like he should and what he saw or what he felt. And he's also not gonna offer an apology for something that he feels like he didn't do. And I think Sean felt like they squashed it.
I am sorry that everything that unfolded last year unfolded. I did not start or spread any of those rumors. And, you know, it was hurtful to me, in all honesty, when you used my son and said that I was playing him as a pawn to deflect from something that I didn't even do to begin with.
To me, it did look like you corroborated and had something to do, if not perpetuated. So.
None of the above.
My husband likes to move forward, so it's like you can't really move forward or reconcile with her because if it's not one thing, now it's going to be another. And in my opinion, I think she should have just taken the olive branch.
I just think the whole thing is inappropriate.
It is. You're blowing up their anniversary dinner with this podcast.
She doesn't feel that he did anything wrong, so at this point, she's just as accountable as he is. She had a free pass. She chose not to take it.
I have noticed you giving Angie free passes, like creating a space for you and Angie to move forward time and time again, and she just isn't letting things go.
You told someone to sue me.
No, I did not.
And take my house.
I didn't say that.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You know what? I'm finished.
Because she feels like unsatisfied somehow along the way, you know, because it keeps resurfacing and resurfacing, and you're moving on.
What, her own wrongdoings? Because I haven't done anything to her. I don't talk about them. I talk about the way they treat me. They have been really not nice to me from day one. And if not including someone who I barely know on a trip that was with 6 people is so offensive.
Imagine Meredith's face when she sees me. The one person that you didn't want to hear is here.
I barely knew her. Why would I invite her? If that's what started all this, she really needs to grow up and move on, because that's ridiculous.
I mean, I certainly knows what it feels like to not be included on a trip to Palm Springs. Are we going back to the fact that I got left out of the girls' trip?
I don't understand why Angie and Meredith can't just look at each other and say, we both did awful things to each other and, you know, helped perpetuate awful stories about each other, and neither of us should have done it. The end.
I don't want an apology because they don't want to give one, because they've had, what, over a year now, a year and a half,
actions-
to reflect on their
Right.
own behaviors, and they don't have that level of self-reflection. I mean, everything that she brought on her 5th grade prop of the scroll in magic marker written on a slant like a 5-year-old, you know, was just not even true. You
What were some of the
know?
things on the
And
scroll?
Quite frankly, I don't want to read her scroll. The only scroll I'm reading is a Torah, period. Done.